to unequivocally and vehemently condemn what transpired at Parliament last week. You see, Parliament is a place for discourse, intellectual discourse. We sit, deliberate on different matters, pass laws, engage on policy formulation, etc., etc. That's what this space is for. Unfortunately, last week it descended into something else. We did see journalists being pushed out of the chambers of Parliament and detained in Conference Hall B, because we saw many of you speaking out as journalists saying you could not even be allowed to leave the Conference Hall B, to even go back to your media houses or home or whatever the case might be. So effectively, you were under some kind of detention. Problematic. The time I've been here in Parliament, the time I covered Parliament as a journalist, I had never seen that. Because even during Tujukwatako, as they were roughing up MPs, journalists were not bothered at all. They were not disturbed because they're there to do their job. This time it was different. So journalists were hounded out, detained, lights were switched off, another fast. Because again, during Tujukwatako, the lights remained on and they did all that they had to do. But this time, because they had a criminal intent, that's why they sent journalists away, locked them up somewhere, switched off the lights, and then goons descended on Parliament. And by the way, network connectivity was also jammed. One could not make a call, and so on and so forth. Some of you later, as journalists, told us, we're trying to reach out to you to tell us what's happening since we have been chased out, but you could not reach us because the network connectivity had been tampered with. All clearly showing the criminal intent from the word go. So we condemn that raid on Parliament. We saw female members of Parliament being roughed up by men. This is despicable. It is unacceptable. And we are demanding answers regarding what transpired. The Speaker sent Parliament on to a recess of sorts, adjourned it Sunday, but as soon as Parliament is recalled, we are going to demand for answers to establish what happened, why did it happen as it did. We did see later on the Speaker expunged some of the remarks that I made, asking questions about who raided Parliament, because as far as we were concerned, these were security operatives. Otherwise, who would access Parliament with all the deployment there was, right from the gate, and then to the parliamentary chambers? And the Speaker was saying the remarks I made were defamatory, and so she ordered that my remarks be expunged from the Hansard. When we return to Parliament, I will ask her, now that you're saying I was wrong to claim it was security operatives, you, Madam Speaker, tell us who raided Parliament, now that you know. If it wasn't security operatives, who? So the Speaker has got to give us an answer, because we did see the Speaker did not give any reason for suspending these MPs. A reason has got to be given. When you suspend members, you name them and you justify why you are suspending them, because we want to know. Otherwise, we think they were being hounded, they were being discriminated against. The House was heated up because of the matter that we were handling that day. There was heckling in the entire House. When I stood up to speak, as I was advancing my points, colleagues on the NRM did not want to listen to the laws I was quoting and so on, and they began to heckle. I did not see the Speaker suspend any of them. So we want to know, why did she suspend the members whom she suspended? Many of them were seated, had not even said a word. We are demanding for answers. And as soon as Parliament resumes, we shall ask her to explain to us, why did she suspend members of Parliament? Yes, she has powers to suspend MPs. But you see, even when you have powers within the law to do certain things, you must operate within the law. She has got to give us an explanation. Why did she suspend the members that she suspended? What did they do that other people did not do, including our colleagues in the NRM who are heckling us? So was it okay for them to heckle and not for the others. I want to appreciate colleagues in the opposition for remaining united. We did see colleagues put up a spirited fight in defense of coffee, because this matter has been on for some time. We stalled this matter twice before even when it did come up again. But it's because we were united and have continuously put up a spirited fight regarding this matter, and we have pledged to continue that way in all the meetings that we have held as the opposition generally, including this morning. We want to keep up with the fight for coffee. We saw General Museveni called a press conference, and there were several claims, one of which was that UCDA gives coffee seedlings to only opposition MPs, and he was saying that's why we were speaking out in defense of UCDA. He forgets that Parliament generally had thrown out this bill. Parliament has majority NRM. So is he saying, so what exactly was he trying to say? Because initially we had all said no. It's just that he insisted, he called his NRM MPs, threatened them, intimidated them. But for us, he has no authority over us. And so he could not call us to order the way he called to order his leaders within the NRM. So now that he realized we were putting up a spirited fight, he began propaganda. Because to say that UCDA has been giving coffee seedlings to only the opposition, and that's why they are defending it. How about colleagues in the NRM who initially were also speaking in defense of UCDA? Are they also opposition? Is it because they're also being given coffee seedlings? So we would like him to substantiate. We shall not accept propaganda, even if it is from the person occupying State House. Just because you're occupying State House does not give you the wherewithal to say whatever you want to say, and you cannot back it up. So now that he has made those claims, we want him to substantiate those claims. Bring evidence so that it does not become okay to spew out propaganda as and when somebody does wish. Again, clearly showing what his motive has been from the word go. He paraded people there, praise singers, for the narrative that he has been taking. I kept thinking, if you are seeking to have a good understanding, why did he not invite some people from within his party who have been against rationalizing UCDA? They didn't have to be from the opposition, but there are people within his party who have been speaking out. Why did he not invite them to hear from them as well? Why did he not invite his senior presidential advisor, Dr. Ezra Suruma, who he pays a salary, facilitates to advise him, and has been speaking and advising him against rationalizing UCDA? Why did he not invite him to that press conference to hear him out as well? But of course he had to paint an image to show that everybody is happy with what has happened. That's not true. We, number one, are encouraging the people of Uganda to keep growing coffee, because it's possible government wants to demobilize them and discourage them from growing coffee. We are here to encourage Ugandans across the country, in all regions of the country. Please grow even more coffee, because the fight for coffee has not ended. Some think that the fight was wrapped up. No, that's not the case. So please grow as much coffee as you possibly can. The fight is still on. General Museveni might think he has had his day. No, coffee is going to be here much longer than him, that's for sure. Because, as we know, it remains for generations and generations. So please do not be discouraged. This fight is very much still on. Grow as much coffee as you possibly can, because this fight has not ended. As the opposition, as those of us who think the way we do regarding these matters, government has been saying they are rationalizing to save taxpayers' money. Of course, we have objected to that, saying it is not true. If you're saying you're rationalizing to save taxpayers' money, there are certain other things we should have been seen to be done. And so we want to see, and it's something we are going to push for now and going forward. There are several other entities that are still in place that we think should also be rationalized. Now that you're saying your concern is to save taxpayers' money, so we are going to push that front. There are many other entities that have been created which don't even require a bill in Parliament because they are not creatures of statute. Mr. Museveni just issued State House land unit. There is a unit on literally anything and everything in State House, which is fully fledged. It has got its leadership, it's got staff, it is facilitated like an entity. We want to see all those units disbanded because they are consuming taxpayers' money. If you think the IGG is not doing a good job in fighting corruption, you replace her as opposed to creating another outfit. If you think the Ministry of Health is not doing a good job, as opposed to creating the State House Health Monitoring Unit and that kind of thing, you fire the people who are there, you're the one who appoints them. These ones whom you put in this unit, put them at the ministry. Let's send all these ones back to the ministries because he is saying his ministries are very effective. They do a good job. That would mean all these units and some of these entities are useless. After all, the ministries are doing a good job. So let's send everything back to the ministries so that we disband these things that are consuming taxpayers' money. That's the other front that we are taking. And we are hoping that government will not play games around that. All these numerous entities that are problematic, unnecessary, of course they were created to create jobs for relatives, in-laws, outlaws, and everybody in that ring. So we are pushing on that front to see that they are all disbanded. Let's be serious about saving taxpayers' money. If we really are, that's the direction we want to see. And of course, these other positions that have been created, we want to see them being disbanded. You have an RDC, deputy RDC, assistant RDC. For what? Let's disband all of these ones. Because we want to save, and we must be able to save taxpayers' money. Otherwise, from our end, we are saying that the fight for coffee and indeed other cash crops is on, because we want to rally the country so that we have an economic fight. This is a fight for economic empowerment. We saw what happened to cotton. We saw what happened to vanilla, to moringa. I was in eastern Uganda recently. Sugarcane, a ton of sugarcane was at 250,000 shillings. It is now at 50,000 shillings. We want to see all those cash crops revived. And that's the economic war we are going for. And generally, seeing how public expenditure comes down. You have been seeing us go after entities that are given money, literally donations. Rocco, 263 billion. Atiak Sugar Factory, 553 billion. Day Biopharma, 723 billion shillings. Luvoa Specialized Hospital, 600 billion shillings plus, and others. All of this has got to stop. If you're serious about saving taxpayers' money, that's what we want to see. And that's the fight that we want to keep pushing. We want to see a serious fight against corruption. We lose over 10 trillion shillings every year to corruption. If General Museveni is really serious about saving taxpayers' money, we want to see him put up a spirited fight against corruption. All we see today is him defending the corrupt, saying, leave this one, don't touch this one, leave these thieves. After all, they are investing the money, they steal here. But what are they investing the money in? It is private enterprises. So we want to see a spirited fight in that regard. And that's the bigger war that we want to keep pushing. As we keep fighting for coffee and all the other cash crops, we are saying this war we have been at against corruption, seeing that taxpayers' money is not doled out to anyone and everyone, want to push it further and expose this regime to the core. I'll quickly translate what I have said. Why did we walk out? We were walked out Because you see, when we sat in our opposition caucus meetings, those that the series of them we have had, we said we are not going to boycott this issue. You know, in the past we have boycotted different matters, and it's okay. Boycott is a tool we have in our toolbox. As and when we apply it, and that's okay. But this time round we said we are not going to boycott. And that's why we prepared ourselves, did our research, we crossed every T and dotted every I. And that's how we stalled and frustrated this process twice previously. So we said we will stick in the House and argue these matters out, put these people on the spot, quote for them every law. And we came to do the same. So they realized our acumen in that regard. So we said now, we can't beat them in their knowledge of the rules and that strategy they're using to fight. Let's just descend on them. Push journalists out, switch off the lights, cut off connectivity, and send in goons. And it ceased to be Parliament in and of that situation. You know, firstly, our rules say our sittings ought to be in the public, Rule 23. So you, the media, you're meant to be present on behalf of the public for whom we are deliberating. So Parliament, number one, was incomplete. Two, it had ceased to be Parliament, because what Parliament is it? Where journalists have been chased out, lights have been switched off. I've heard some colleagues say, no, now we should have stayed there, and I don't know, fought with these people. And by the way, some of those who are saying these things, they were not present at all. I didn't see them anywhere. So I kept thinking, where were you? You who is saying we should have remained in the dark. Where were you? Because members were being ferried out one by one, and for you saying they should have insisted and said, okay, people were being ferried out. For you, where were you? Why did you not stay? Where were you? Why were you not present to say, okay, others have been ferried out, it is dark, I am going to remain here and fight with whoever and the chairs and so on? Where were they? So that's why we don't want to be caught up in some of those diversions, yeah? We must stick to the issue. So we have not boycotted Parliament. And that's why we are waiting for when the Speaker is going to recall Parliament. Even if she says this afternoon, we are ready to go to Parliament and raise these issues. What happened that day? Parliament ceased to be Parliament. And that's why you were the first people to be marched out as journalists. So I'm sure some people are saying, why didn't you as journalists remain? Why didn't you fight? So that you can cover and show the world what happened. See all the ridiculous questions being asked by people who are somewhere in their garages, some of whom are meant to be in Parliament, but they were not even present, they didn't show up. But they're somewhere in their corners, and they're blaming those of us who are present and doing all that we ought to do. So we have not boycotted Parliament. What happened that day is everybody was marched out. Firstly, the journalists, and then the rest of us. Because when you do that, when you send journalists out, when you switch off the lights, cut off connectivity, we are in the dark. Someone is saying, remain there and deliberate. What are you remaining deliberate about with all of these goons? So we have not boycotted Parliament. We are coming back as soon as she recalls the House. Yes, the issue of court, Seroza does ask. We have all these options on the table. We are engaging with the legal minds, looking at all the irregularities that were occasioned, and we are going to follow up all of these matters. One, on the floor of Parliament, because that's our first fighting space. Yeah, because I'm sure some of them are saying, okay, we finished what we finished, you go to court and finish the matter there. No. Yes, court is an option. The courts are available to any Ugandan. But the House space is our space to that platform, the chambers. So we are going to fight there too. We are coming back to raise these issues. So if they think they concluded this matter, you know, sometimes that's how people do things, yeah? Somebody commits an illegality on you. It's like somebody comes and grabs your land and says, you go to court. So they did all the illegalities they did, and I'm sure they are saying, the only option you have is going to court. No, court is one of the options. But our number one first course of recourse is the floor of Parliament. We are coming back there to raise all these illegalities that happened. And they don't want us to raise these issues there. That's why even what we raised, they expunged from the Hansard. Can you imagine the shamelessness? That's how much of cowards they are. So they want to deny us that space. We are saying no. We are not here on their invitation. What next? Like I've said, we have declared an economic war on behalf of the people of Uganda. And we are taking this war to the people. we're going to connect with them in various ways to awaken them up, get them involved in this fight. As we continue to pursue these matters on the floor of Parliament and elsewhere, we are connecting with the people to say, this is your war as much as it is our war. And as we connect with the people, we are also telling them, look, these people think that the battle was with we opposition MPs, and so they could do what they did, chase journalists out, put off the lights, and then raid and grab us and that kind of thing. But the people of Uganda are the biggest stakeholders in this matter. And so we are going to them to say, by the way, you have a few months to fight back. These people have taken away your coffee. In a couple of months, you have got an opportunity to determine whether or not they should continue to wield the power to take away anything and everything that they want, including power. And so we are taking that to the people as well, to help them realize that they are still part of this war in every sense. They might not have a chance to come to the chambers and that kind of thing, but the power is very much within their hands. And as NRM people are coming there to you, because the election season has started, please put them to them these matters of coffee. They are your enemies. And so we are coming to connect with you in this fight, to show you who your enemies are, your real enemies, and also tell you you have an opportunity to send them away once and for all. And that's why we are saying the fight is still on. So that's the next step that we are taking. I think generally the questions were around that.